Hello students, welcome to the second lecture in the series on the famous play Loyalties written by John Galsworthy. In the previous session, we had discussed that John Galsworthy is considered to be one of the eminent writers of earlier 20th century, and this play Loyalties marked a very important milestone in the creative career of John Galsworthy. Published in 1922 and performed in the same year at Martin's Theatre in England and then at the United States and several other European countries. This play put Galsworthy on the map of international theatre. And as a social play, it raised sentiments against narrow loyalties and prejudices. It is centered on the theme of the loyalties along with racial discrimination. It's a drama divided into 3 acts. Students, whenever we talk about any play, it is imperative to have a detailed introduction with the very characters who are the chief agents which help in the growth or the evolution of the action or the plot in a story, in a play. So let's have an introduction with the characters of this play. Students, on the whole in this play there are 20 characters, but 7 or 8 characters who play a very active role as far as the storyline is concerned. So we will talk about those very characters. The very first one, or one of the key characters, is Captain Ronald Danzi. Students, he is presented in the story as a retired army officer who loves military adventures and military ideals. And when the story opens, after creating his own excitement with horses and women, he gets himself into trouble by stealing some money from a house guest while he himself is a guest. Student, this is the key episode of this play, the theft of some money. And when he steals money, his friends, they stand by him against the accusation of the man whose money has been stolen. But towards the end, when it becomes clear that he is guilty and he has stolen someone's money, and when police comes to arrest him, he goes to his room and shoots himself. This is how this army officer meets a tragic end in the story, just because of his sense of ego, his the sense of racial superiority, because he is a Christian and he has stolen the money of a Jew. That is the second most important character in this story, and his name is Ferdinand D Lewis. Students, Ferdinand D Lewis is a prosperous Jew who has risen to wealth by degrees, having started very modestly. In the very opening of the play, we come to know that his father was a carpet seller. And when the story opens, he sells for £1,000 a horse which Captain Danzi has given him. And later on, that same money, that same amount, £1,000, is stolen by Danzi, Captain Danzi. And when he accused Danzi that Danzi has stolen his money, he is very unpopular. He is not accepted or loved at all in the house, very house where he is staying with Danzi and some other guests, because all the people who are staying over there, they are Christians, but he is a Jew. So somewhere in the deepest corners of their heart, they are prejudiced against the Jews. And so all the people, they favor Danzi. So he shows very poor form by openly accusing Danzi of theft before his friends, because Danzi's Christian friends are loyal to Danzi. Says they stand with him. So when toward the end of the story, when Danzi drops his suit for defamation of character against D Lewis, then at that time D Lewis is willing to let bygones be bygones. So he is presented in this way, that how the racial prejudices create such an atmosphere or such a network where loyalties cut each other. Then another important character is Mabel Danzi. Mabel Danzi is Captain Danzi's wife, and she is loyal to him even when she discovered that her husband is a thief. Then another important character is Jacob Twisden. Students, this person plays a very important role in the evolution of the plot. He is a lawyer, he is Danzi's attorney, and he's very tough and straightforward. And he discovers that Danzi did indeed take the money, that Danzi has stolen the money. So he advises him to drop his suit against D Lewis. So this is how Jacob Twisden is presented as a very sincere lawyer. Then another important character is Paolo Ricardo. He is an Italian wine merchant, and his daughter has been intimate with Danzi. As we have already discussed, that Captain Danzi has some affairs with some women. So one of them was an Italian girl, and her father was Paolo Ricardo's, and he blackmails Danzi in the course of the story. You will come to know about the details in the next video, when we will talk about the plot or the summary of the play in detail. In the story, what happened, that this Ricardo's, he threatens Danzi that he will expose if he does not provide for the daughter. So just to pay money to Ricardo's, Danzi steals the £1,000 from D Lewis. So this is how Ricardo's role is also very important in this very story. Another character is General Canning. General Canning is Danzi's superior officer, and after that very theft, when it becomes very clear, when it becomes apparent that Danzi has stolen the money, he offers Danzi a billet in the Spanish War. And then another is Charles Windsor. Charles Windsor is Danzi and D Lewis' host at Meldon Court. Students, Meldon Court is the name of the house where all these people were staying together as guests. And Meldon Court is the place where this theft has taken place. So Charles Windsor is the owner of that house, Meldon Court. And he stays there with his wife, Lady Adela. Lady Adela is also an important character in this story. So students, these are those characters who play an active role in the story of this play, and there are some other who also have their significance in the growth of the story. There is a treasurer, a butler to Charles Windsor. There is Margaret Orme, a society girl. Then there is Inspector Dade. Then there is a constable. A footman is also there. And Lord St. Earth is also there. A young clerk of that Lawyer Twisden's is also there. Then there is a brief role is of a grocer. Gilman is also there. So we will have a detailed discussion about all these characters who are in some or the other form related to the plot of the story in our next video during the analysis or the synopsis of the story line of this very play. And this is all about the characters in this play. And students, as from this very brief introduction of each character, now you might have a fair idea that all these characters, they represent have their own, they represent a some or the other social tendency or the social force. But it goes to the credit of Galsworthy that his characters also realistically drawn individuals. All of them have marks of their unique personalities. As we have seen that D Lewis is not only a typical Jew, but he has a distinct individuality. Then there is Danzi. He is not an ordinary typical criminal. He has a psychological aspect which makes the acts of his desperate nature very convincing. Then there is that lawyer. Twisden is there. He is not a typical advocate. His loyalty to his profession is exceptional, that he abandons his client in a way no average advocate does. That, as we have just discussed, that how he, when he finds that Dancy is the criminal, so he asks him to drop his suit against D Lewis. So students, this is all about the characters. In the next session, we will discuss the storyline of the play in detail. Then you will have more clarity about the characters which are presented in this story. Thank you.